To order. Um, Thanks for everyone for being here. First off, I just want to make a motion to approve our minutes from our last meeting on October 18th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. All right. Okay, so tonight we got a few different things on the agenda, but they're all kind of closely related. So I just want to make sure we're very clear about what we're going to go through. We might be having a guest tonight from DCR. So if it's okay with everyone, I might wait to see if she shows up, give her some more time to talk about the Tree City designation. Which we will discuss. Then we have tree regulations. And part of that was information shared by Michael and Lisa about bylaws and ordinances. And then finally, the last thing I'd like to discuss is the potential for talking about the Ag and Forestry Commission bylaw itself in the town. And if it makes sense to update it, in my opinion, was just to update it with the number of members on it, because I feel like there's a lot of work to be done.
And can I add one thing?
Yes.
Just to clarify how the application is being sent for Ice Glen.
Oh. Yeah,
We could talk about that at the end.
maybe we'll just talk about that at the end just to confirm.
Yep.
That is being sent out. Okay. So I'm going to give Julie a few more minutes here. Maybe we could just start discussing Tree City and see if she comes. And then if she comes on, we can start talking to her. So what's before us is talking about whether it makes sense for Stockbridge to become a tree city. If anyone would like to share their thoughts first on the material that was sent out. And I know we've talked about it before.
So sure, I'll start. I don't really see any downside to doing it. It's a nice designation to have. And I think the application is a little time consuming, but it's not awful. It's free. And DCR is very helpful in figuring things out in terms of filling out the application. The benefits are, what I found is benefits are increased access to the urban forester. And it just, for any urban forestry grants, tree planting, anything like that we want to do down the line, it helps the grant to have Tree City designation. Also, the Arbor Day Foundation sends out newsletters, I think every month or every other month, and it's good, up-to-date information in terms of pests, planting, lots of good information that we'd have to really seek out otherwise. And you become a member of the Arbor Day Foundation also, so you can buy seedlings really inexpensively. And we did that a few times in Great Barrington. And then on Arbor Day, we would distribute the tree seedlings, hundreds of them. And people really liked it. It was a very popular thing to do. So I'm not aware of any downside. I don't know if people feel otherwise.
What would be our obligations?
The obligations are once a year, the select board has to say it's Arbor Day, and you don't have to even do that on Arbor Day. Any day can be Arbor Day. You have to have some sort of celebration. Sometimes in Great Barrington, we did a tree giveaway. One year we did a poetry contest for school kids, and all the poems were put in the library. Another year we did a drawing contest. It can be very low key, and it can be bigger too. But you have to have some sort of Arbor Day celebration. forget whether, I think that's about it. Whatever they are, it's not, none of them are very difficult. The most difficult thing is the initial application. As I said, it's time consuming. And then from year to year, you have to renew it. That's not quite as bad. There are statistics. They want to know, oh, and another obligation is there has to be at least one public meeting about if trees are cut down. Or this committee would probably fill that, count for that.
Could you explain that to me? In other
They
words,
need-
to cut down any tree?
I don't even, I'd have to look at the, exactly what they say, but I think it is for trees that are cut down. The public has to be made aware, which I think
We already,
assume we already do that,
yeah, if it's a public tree, then
if it's a public.
it already is probably.
Yeah.
Um,
They do ask for statistics from the town about how many trees planted, how many trees were removed. And again, in Great Barrington, I would just go to the tree warden and they kept those statistics. That was easy to get.
And Mike-
Okay. Now, the tree warden's priority this year is to remove dead trees in their roadways that present a danger. We're
Yeah.
not going to have a public hearing on every one of those, are we?
I don't, from my understanding, and maybe Michael, you can talk to this more, in that I don't think it's necessary we have to have unless there is an objection brought up for some particular tree. You
Okay,
would
then I have a problem.
No,
Yeah.
actually, it's not that. So
Oh,
we
it's not
can,
even that. Oh,
if you want to get into, we can get into the tree warden discussion part. If you wish, we could
Yeah.
go there next.
That, I feel like it's all kind of blurring together, but I think it would be good to bring that up. Yeah.
Well, my question is on the Tree City. We have to notify the public of every tree that's going to be taken down.
No, yeah, but I
No.
think according to Tree City, there has to be at least but one public meeting.
No, 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 this is tree removal.
Tree removal, yes, for tree removal. I think it's one. I don't think you have to do, I don't think they want to know about every public meeting.
No, no,
And I
no.
have to, I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah.
But it's not you don't have to do every public meeting.
No. Okay, I asked for the obligations. That's an obligation. We have an elected tree warden who's taken down, well, using his budget to get trees taken down.
Yep,
So what would be our obligation under Tree City?
that go to the select board for approval.
Okay, then I have a problem.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about, Michael, if you can talk about what the process is right now in terms of public trees.
Right. So public trees fall under the tree warden under a couple different sections of law, which allow the tree warden to take down a tree. Now, those can be from the Scenic Road Act to the Scenic Mountain Act to the general one, which is sorry, I knew it off chapter 87, section 1 through 6, I believe it is. So with the tree warden always has, there's 6 exemptions for a hearing. So whenever a tree warden looks to take down a tree in a community, there always must be a hearing unless it hits one of the 6 criteria that the tree warden can take down under his own authority. So let me share this page with you. All right, can everybody see?
Yep.
that? All right. So there are 6 exemptions to the public permit shade tree alterations. First, if it's endangering persons or traveling on the highway. So trees may be cut, removed if they're endangering people. Second, the trees may be ordered if it's for widening of the highway. Now that can be impacted by the Scenic Road Act, which then would require a hearing. But if it's not a scenic road and you're widening the road, you can. They can be for pests, Dutch elm, things like that. can remove if they're under a certain 1.5 inches. Maybe taken down if they're a hinder for traveling. That's number 5. And then number 6, if they obstruct buildings or impact. The most common one is the first one, remove because it endangers persons traveling on a highway, whether walking, traveling, or anything such as that. So, really what it comes down to is a dead or diseased tree is if it's creating a danger, then the tree warden can take it down without holding a hearing. All other times, the tree warden must hold a hearing before he can take it down. So right now we have a hearing set for this Friday coming up on 3 different locations. One is the beach, which we have a proposed new entranceway to the beach, which is going to require the removal of some trees. These trees are otherwise healthy trees or trees that are in decent shape. Here, let me stop sharing. We have a single tree in the park on Park Street in the park that in order to relocate the pump station, we're going to have to remove a tree. And then there are trees proposed to be removed up on Rattlesnake Road under the utilities in order for a house to get electricity that was newly built behind. So in all those cases, a tree hearing is required.
So that would satisfy tree city requirement, as long as there's one public hearing.
Yeah.
Okay, now he's going to be removing dead trees. No public hearing. How does Tree
Right.
City
That's
impact
fine.
that?
That's fine. That's
Yeah.
fine. The requirement is they want proof of a public hearing. They don't specify which. As long as there's one public hearing during the year, that meets the requirement.
Gotcha. So not every public tree.
No,
Okay.
not every hearing.
Okay. Well, and I think that gets into the regulations, and what I read too, reading through the Guardians of Municipal, public trees. It seems like a lot of this is covered, like what Michael just read in this document here. And the couple of things that I pulled out from it that seemed recommendations even from the document, for shoring up, they were talking more about like the law itself, the chapter 86 or 87, but it was talking more about the size and diameter, because I think it's something like only 1.5 inches in breast height diameter, or a foot off the ground, even not even breast height, a foot off the ground. Anything over that, the tree warden can't cut down. And they were saying that kind of is prohibiting, and not saying I want to go up to like 24 to 48 inches, but maybe expanding that in some kind of ordinance or some kind of regulation, just saying up to 2, up to 3 inches, giving a little bit more leeway and like big brush and stuff on this roadside. And then the other thing was more as we come down the line here, talking about shade and / shade on solar panels and on homes and stuff. So really getting into issues around heating and cooling in the seasons. And that was coming out of that document. And I'll try to find it and pull it up.
We have a definition of tree. It's 2 inches in diameter. You
2
won't
inch.
find it in the index, but if you look through our definitions, there is a definition of trees.
So I have a tree warden question. Right now, when trees come down, like on Rattlesnake Road, is there any mandate for a replacement in the town?
There isn't, but it's within the tree warden's authority to set that. So if he determines that a tree's coming down, part of his ruling can be approves for that tree to come down and another tree is planted. So that's something that can be done, but not necessarily something that's required. So like in the case at the beach, we have a lot of trees, and if we're creating a new entrance way, we're not going to be planting any other trees, because this was to remove the trees to accommodate a different entrance to
Right.
alleviate some of the runoff. that's
But
happening.
sometimes when it comes down in one place, the tree warden can plant in another place, especially with National Grid. You know, when they cut in Great Barrington, they replaced a lot of trees and they gave money to buy trees to plant in other places. So
Yeah.
be good to do that.
So it's not a requirement though, as of right now.
It's not a requirement to replace one. It depends on the situation and what's happening. In the case like down at the Park Street, the odds are we'll end up like the other pump station, planting a bunch of trees around it that'll eventually grow up to shade it from the public. So, but in the case of the beach, probably not,
Right.
because we wouldn't want to take any more away from the beach, but we're trying to create a better entrance and exit for that beach.
Right. And is it, if he does, or they decide to replace a tree, is it limited to where they are? Or in terms of where they took the tree down?
Shouldn't be.
No, the tree warden can actually work on plantings around town anywhere. So it
Gotcha.
can be even identifying, not even a replacement, just the planting of new trees and public shade trees in areas where it's been either brought forward as a request or the tree warden himself can do. So, you know, there's the Massachusetts Tree Wardens and Forestry Association. And they, you know, have a very quick little piece here that shows what is a tree warden.
Okay.
And the job, you know, from pruning trees to removal of trees, to identifying, to planting, creation of and updating a tree inventory, you know, all the different things that a tree warden can do. So, you know, it's definitely a lot.
Yeah. Could you share that with everyone, that website? Is that possible?
Yeah, if you just look up Massachusetts Tree Wardens, it comes right up as your first search.
Gotcha.
And that, but I can also put it right in the chat right now.
Perfect.
Thank you.
It sounds to me, and I don't know how everyone else feels, it seems like a lot. I don't really hear much that I disagree with in terms of what already is on the books and what is there. It just seems like it's very spread out and all over the place. And that's, you know, why we have so many questions, because we're looking at a lot of different documents.
In terms of a bylaw?
Well, and this kind of gets into the bylaw or an ordinance. It's more of like gathering this information and what we see as a tree warden's role, which I don't disagree with much of what already has been said and what's, you know, in the Guardian bylaw or the Guardian document, what Michael just showed, but putting it into an easily viewed form for our tree warden to follow in essence. Is that?
Yes, but.
With some
The two
possibilities.
The two things I didn't hear. Our tree replacement, I mean, it sounds like the tree warden can replace.
Yes.
I would rather see, you know, a little stronger wording with replacement and survivability, so that we know whatever gets replaced actually lives, because sometimes it doesn't. And protection during any kind of construction, you know, whether it's fencing around existing trees or erosion controls, whatever. But those are two things I didn't hear, which I think would be important to include.
And I think sorry, Shelby, go ahead.
Well, I just want to say we've kind of gone from the Tree City designation topic to you know,
We did.
tree regulations and other things. And I wonder if we could, if we can wrap up, you know, if we just come back to the Tree City designation and see if we can come to an agreement about that.
I don't really have enough specific information about Tree City. I visited their website when we discussed it the last time, and there's not much substance there.
Well, I think, and for Tree City, I know a part of it looks like, there is an ordinance, or some kind of bylaw, I think, what I was preliminary reading. And this, I think Eric's got good questions and we have more questions, and hopefully Julie joins us. I don't know if she will be here. But it might sound like we need to just get someone, hopefully Julie, can just come and answer these questions, and then we could just, make a decision on it.
Yeah, and, the deadline at this point is going to be December of '22. We're not going to make this year.
Yeah.
So we don't have to decide tonight. But I would like the tree warden to be here for the discussion, because I would want to know that the tree warden's on board to do this. I don't really want to make that decision without him, because it will mean some communication, cooperation with the tree warden. So
Right.
I'd like him to be in on the decision.
So it sounds like for Tree City, if we can schedule another meeting and if Julie can come, she said she could, but I don't know if something happened, and then get Mark Faber, and maybe Michael could talk to Mark, and ask him.
I thought he was gonna come tonight, but apparently he wasn't able to make that.
I'm gonna go order some wood from him and talk to him.
Okay,
so.
there you go.
That might work.
I guess we probably officially, based on what Shelby was saying, is we should just continue the Tree City discussion to another meeting unless DCR person shows up.
Yeah, and if she jumps in at any point during the meeting, we can jump back to our questions.
And is Molly no longer there?
I have a feeling Molly's not there anymore, because I sent her an email, but I don't see her on the website. So,
okay, yeah.
and it lists Julie as the contact for the urban forests.
Yeah, okay.
So, sorry, Shelby, to go back now to regulations, and I know this is hard for the note taking.
Oh, no, everything's fine. I just wanted to make sure that we didn't that we didn't lose track of the fact that we had kind of
Right.
wandered off of that topic and hadn't settled it.
Right.
So,
Thank you.
What I was going to say is too, the other thing that I didn't hear and what I've read and seen, or what I have read and seen is, to go back to my point of only an inch and a half, he can cut up to an inch and a half. So that's like brush and small trees on the side of the road. And Eric brought up the 2-inch diameter, and maybe if we were to gather all this stuff, give permission up to 2 inches, because 1.5 inches doesn't seem,
Where are you drawing the 1.5 inch from?
Mass General Law, Chapter 87.
Okay.
yeah. So that's where I'm drawing that from. And that was definitely, and even in that Guardians of the Municipal Tree document made a recommendation that it might be too restrictive for the tree wardens, and giving a little bit more leeway so that when there is a big brush bramble area. The other thought I had too was just talking about bringing up more invasive trees and stuff like that, and giving more leeway or definition around nuance or nuisance trees. If there is something that is an invasive, if it's a giant Norway maple / buckthorn on the side of the road, giving more leeway to something like that being cut down than say a beech or something else.
Well, if it's 1.5 inches in Mass General Law, how are you going to override that?
Well, that's a good question, Michael.
I believe that it does allow you to make, well, you'd have to look into that, because
Yeah.
in general, right, you have to default to Mass General Law or be stricter, not less restrictive. But I would have to research exactly what we'd have to do that. I do know that when I had read this before, that one of the key things they did talk about is just because it's nuisance or an inconvenience is not a
Right.
reason to take down a tree.
Gotcha.
Without a hearing. So any tree can be removed with a hearing.
Mhm.
It's just the requirement of a hearing that needs to be met in order for any tree to be considered taken down if it's not diseased, dead, and creating a public, or a tree that's damaged and creating public safety issue. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
And yeah, because I didn't see anything about invasive, and not that trees are usually thought as invasive, but
Well, the two you named.
there's definitely arguments for them, and and I feel like if we do have a bylaw or an ordinance or a bylaw identifying those trees to give more access to the tree warden to make that decision quicker or easier. I don't know if we would have to still, or if we would even want in the end to still have.
I'm just not sure if you can do that.
Yeah.
The mechanism is already there in the
Right.
fact that all the tree warden has to do is hold the hearing, declaring this tree as something that needs to be removed, and he could use the reason why is that it's an invasive, but it's just, if it doesn't meet one of the 6 criteria, you have to have a
Gotcha.
hearing on the tree.
Gotcha.
But you can still take down any tree, even if it's perfectly healthy. So it could be,
Right.
this is an invasive species that we want to remove, but you're going to have
Right.
to have a hearing in order to
Right.
remove it. So
I think it's more in that, yes, that makes complete sense. In my mind, it's more of collecting all this information and then putting it in one central location so that not just this tree warden, the next 100 tree wardens all have a frame of reference, and we have something to point to that they could point to as some kind of conclusion that we've come together.
Agreed.
let me
So,
see if there's any other, I might be able to find another example from another town or something, that put
Right.
out something just to describe when a tree warden can take it down, because these are
yeah,
6 universal ones that are pretty, that are required of all of them. And I know in bigger communities over a certain population, your tree wardens have to be certified and everything. While in
Right.
smaller towns, they tend to just be an elected official. So,
yeah. And I know the guide you sent out mentioned that actually. The DCR Guide to Local Tree Bylaws for Communities in Mass. That mentions that, and I think they give examples of Cambridge, some of the really big, places where they're having, well, they call them ordinances, but
right.
or Belmont, Barstable, Orleans. So there's definitely a lot of examples out there that we could pull from.
Yeah. I think that would be the best thing to start from and then go from there. But we have to make sure, I think Eric's hitting on, we have to make sure that we don't in any way, Chapter 87 defines the legal
Right.
operation of the tree warden. And
Right.
we just need to be conscious of that.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I don't think we want to change that.
yeah,
But one of the documents, I don't remember which one, talked about things Chapter 87 didn't cover. It's the Guide to Local Tree Bylaws Matt just mentioned.
Yeah.
They specify what Chapter 87 does not cover, so it'd be interesting to look at that and see if that's anything we want to add.
and this, unfortunately, I feel like this is gonna be one of those discussions to continue and start thinking about, and start putting some thoughts to paper in some way and hold another meeting about this. Because after reading your guide, it does seem like a little bit of an undertaking in the way of putting some hours towards it. But as far as I'm concerned, I'd like to pursue it and just start gathering ideas or not even ideas, really just gathering the information that's already out there, which is in a lot of the documents we've already pulled down, and putting a bylaw together
And looking at other towns.
and looking at other towns, because I know Great Barrington has
Great Barrington has a very simple one.
a simple one. Yeah.
There's a lot of towns that have ones with more detail.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
before we leave this,
Yeah.
over my 40-year career, I've researched, developed, promulgated regulations and enforced them federal regulatory scheme. We did not change the regulation unless there was a specific issue. And the specific issue was there's not enough regulation.
Right.
Having sat through the unending town meeting of this year, I would hate to see, and would be very annoyed, I guess, as a participant, a bylaw that could be promulgated by the tree warden with the approval of the select board. I don't see that we need to, unless the tree warden says, hey, there's a problem. I got a full-time tree job. You want to help me develop it? I'm into that.
Yeah.
But to go through the elected representatives to put it on the books
Yeah.
rather than as a bylaw.
I don't disagree.
I don't disagree with that.
I will say, though, I don't disagree at all, but I think we've had the tree warden on the agenda almost every meeting since this committee started. And he hasn't come. So I would love to talk to him. And see if he wants to do that, that's fine with me, but we need to have a conversation with him.
Yeah. I think, and I think I agree with you wholeheartedly, Eric. If Mark can be here and be part of this, I want to be part of this. And I don't want to circumvent any elected official and make sure the select board knows what we're doing. And obviously, thank you for coming, Chuck, to make sure that it's not overly done or underly done. It's just what we need. And it can be built on later or be discussed later on in future generations. That's kind of my take.
Yeah, I agree.
So my task would be to find Mark and talk to him and see if I can get him here and continue that task.
I suspect you're going to have more luck during the winter. I mean, he runs a rather substantial tree business. And
That's what I'm hoping.
A little busy this time of year.
I knew
He's already identified how he's going to use his budget, and it's removing those trees that are dead, dying, and in roadways.
Yeah. No, that's true.
If we want to do more work on regulations, does that have to be in the form of a bylaw, or are there other forms of town documentation, basically authority, that
the
it
tree
does not have
warden
to go?
has the statutory authority to promulgate a regulation. If it's approved by the select board, it has the power of a bylaw.
Yeah.
So, okay, so then we can propose to him or work with him on regulations.
Yes.
And okay, great, thank you.
As long as it meets the criteria of chapter 87, which is what he's bound to operate within.
Right. All right. Good. Not hearing anything else. So we will continue that discussion. Moving forward and that brings up the final topic really, and looking at the work that we have and are doing and are continuing to do, whether it makes sense to investigate adding a couple members, not that that's easy, but seeking to add a couple members to the board to help facilitate the work that we are slowly identifying as we go through this process. I don't know what that number is. I don't know what it should be, if it should be done. But looking at this ordinance, looking at Tree City, looking at the continuing work with Ice Glen. Next week, I know we're going to bring up farmers markets. I wanted to hear what you guys were thinking.
I think at the very least, if Shelby is interested, I'd like to see how we could increase the size to at least 4, so Shelby could be an official member, a voting member, and not an alternate.
Boards typically have an odd number of members.
Odd number, so maybe 5. I don't know if we have other people that are interested, but I would at least like to.
How could they not be interested?
This is the place to be.
Yeah, every Monday night.
That's why we draw such a wide audience.
So, I mean, I think like you said, moving up to 5 so that we can do visits without breaking or having a quorum, being able to work, and put things together, and have, I don't know what you would call them, if it's possible, if it's part of Robert's rules, a working group to do something and present it easier without, is that? I saw your head turn.
Working group, and those still have to fall under open meeting law. You're better off just doing it right at these meetings.
Gotcha.
If you want to create more members on the board, all I would recommend is you still stay with an odd number.
Right.
So if you're going to go from 3, go to 5. That would be my recommendation. And really, it's as simple as, if this committee felt as though that's what you need, would be just asking the board to bring forward at annual town meeting to change the bylaw from 3 to 5. That's really a simple one as far as.
And what's the mechanism? Would it just, would it have to be just, if we voted on it here and then the next town meeting, what would we present it as?
You would present it to the select board.
Gotcha.
Vote here to submit to the select board to increase the size of this board to 5 members. Then the select board would vote to decide to place that on town meeting or not.
Gotcha.
And if they chose to place it on town meeting, then it goes before the town. For that.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Eric, did you have any
I would
thoughts?
recommend that.
Oh, Chuck.
I recommend going to 5. I mean, you're doing the forestry now. We haven't even gotten into agricultural yet.
Haven't even
You know,
touched
so,
on
and
it.
this forestry is going to be continuing, you know, ice clad and all that stuff. It's going to be, ongoing for a long time.
Yeah, and we spent so much time on it that we spent months without talking about other stuff that we want to talk about. So it really would be good to have more people available.
I think so. I mean, you start off at 3, look that good, but we'll make changes as needed.
The only problem with going to 5 is 3 people need to be here for a quorum.
Yeah.
That's the downside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get some good people, that's all.
Oh, right here, you got 5 if you wanted, and you could have one of the selectmen on it, just like the cemetery commission has. So.
Oh, that is that possible?
I knew the meeting was tonight, and I was sitting in the other room. My daughter says, "Don't you got a meeting?" I said, "Uh-oh, I lost track of time. I'm sorry, but yeah." So I recommend going to 5 down the road. Yeah.
Not hearing too much, then if it's all right, I will make a motion that we send to the select board a recommendation to increase the Agricultural and Forestry Commission to 5 members. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, the ayes have it. And not seeing Julie. Let me triple check. I do not see her. We have another meeting. Oh, yes, one more thing. Yeah.
Just want to talk about how the application is being submitted for Ice Glen, who's submitting it, and we're clear on it going to Nicole. I don't know if Michael or Matt is submitting it.
Yeah.
How do we want to handle it? I can submit it. We just need to make the one change that was voted on at the selectmen's meeting to remove the spray from the application. Other than that, just submitting it. I mean,
Well, I think that's already, you already removed that, right,
Yeah.
Shelby? Isn't that already out, the spray?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you had caught it in a place that I hadn't seen it at first. So now
Yeah.
it's out. So
Yeah.
as far as I know, the version that I sent around whenever it was recently, the most recent version is complete and
Yeah.
correct.
All right.
And it has all the letters and it has everything in there. Yeah, so
All
I
the
think
attachments.
it's ready to go.
Was there any signatory pages from that were required? I'll take a look at it tomorrow and I can just work with whichever one of you want to designate to make sure it's submitted.
Yeah.
I think that it has to go from you, and that there's something with your name on it on the first page, on the actual application.
Yeah, I thought
page.
there was. I'm trying to remember because I just submitted something else for, right. They usually
Yeah, you're-
require at some
Well,
point a signature from either the chief elected or chief executive. So I'll have to take a look at what the wording is on the application page.
Yeah, you're
if it's-
listed as the person.
All right, I am listed. All right, yeah.
Yeah,
And-
yeah.
Did you see
It's
my
dated-
email? Oh, go ahead, Sheldon.
Oh, I'm saying it's dated October 15th. I don't think that matters. And you're designated as project lead, and I don't see any place for a signature. I think it just gets sent.
All right.
And I think to Lisa, what Lisa's trying to say is that it needs to be sent to Nicole, and she passes it to the feds.
You got that email with her address, Mike?
I should have it. If I don't, Lisa, I'll get in touch with you. And I'll
Okay.
put this on my list to do first thing tomorrow morning.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Fingers crossed.
All right. So to wrap things up, our next meeting that we would be having is December 6th, the first Monday in December. Still good with everyone? And at that one, we will discuss the farmer's market. Since it is the holiday season,
Great.
might as well have some fun. All right. Hearing nothing else. All right. I will make a motion to close this meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye. Thank you so much, everyone.
thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.
Night.
Hi, everyone.